The unseen threat. The cold silence of space was disturbed by a ripple. Something massive was moving in the darkness. At the edge of the solar system, hidden beyond Pluto's orbit, Earth's deep space scanners detected an anomaly. It was subtle at first, just a faint distortion in the background radiation. But within minutes, the signals became clearer. A fleet. Not just any fleet. This was something unseen before, something vast, something terrifying. Thousands of ships, their metallic hulls absorbing all light, moving like a shadow of death toward the inner planets. Their destination was clear. Earth. Inside the United Earth Defense Command, UEDC, alarms blared across the main war room. Technicians and officers scrambled to analyze the incoming data. Who were they? Why were they coming? And most importantly, how long until they arrived? Estimated time until Earth's orbit. 24 hours, a young officer reported, his voice shaking. General Ethan Graves, a man known for his cold, calculating mind, stepped forward. His sharp eyes scanned the data on the massive holo display. "Confirm the fleet size," he ordered. Another officer hesitated before responding. "Yes, sir. The system is still counting, but at least 10,000 warships." A tense silence filled the room. The largest fleet Earth had ever assembled was barely 500 ships. "They're not here for peace," said Admiral Vasquez, her voice grim. "They're coming to end us. The Galactic Dominion declares war." Millions of miles away, aboard the largest ship in the invading fleet, Grand Warlord Serac stood on the bridge, looking at the holographic projection of Earth. He sneered. "So, this is the so-called human homeworld," he said, disgust clear in his voice. "Such a tiny planet. And yet, they have defied our Dominion's laws for far too long." A reptilian officer beside him bowed. "Shall we transmit the declaration of war, Supreme One?" Serac laughed. "No need. They will know our answer when our cannons turn their cities to ash." The Galactic Dominion was the most feared empire in the known universe. Hundreds of species had bowed before their power. Every civilization they encountered had either surrendered or been erased. And now, humanity was next. Earth prepares for the inevitable. Back in the war room, the message finally arrived. A single transmission, broadcasted across every channel, every frequency. "This is the Supreme Warlord of the Galactic Dominion," a deep, menacing voice declared. "Humanity, your existence is a stain upon the stars. Your species is weak. You have no allies. You have no hope. Surrender now, or face total annihilation." The room fell into dead silence. Officers exchanged nervous glances. The entire galaxy was watching. President Elaine Carter, leader of the United Earth Federation, sat still, her face unreadable. Finally, she spoke. "No response," she said. The officers were shocked. "Madam President." "No response," she repeated, her voice calm but firm. "If they think we are afraid, let them believe it." General Graves understood immediately. The element of surprise was the only advantage humanity had left. "They think we are weak," he said, a small smirk forming. "Good." Admiral Vasquez leaned forward. "They have no idea what's waiting for them." Because Earth was not unprepared. For years, humanity had known that first contact with an alien empire would not be peaceful. And so, in the shadows, they had built something. Something powerful. Something the galaxy was not ready for. As the countdown to war began, deep beneath the surface of the moon, inside top-secret military stations, hidden across Mars and Titan, humanity's true defense forces were awakening, and the Dominion had no idea what was coming. First contact. The Galactic Dominion's confidence. The countdown continued. 23 hours until the invasion. Earth's skies were calm, cities alive with lights and movement. Billions of humans went about their daily lives, unaware that death was approaching from the stars. The government had chosen not to inform the public. Panic would be useless. But inside the United Earth Defense Command, UEDC, there was no silence. Status report, General Graves demanded as he paced the war room. All planetary defense systems are online, an officer responded. Orbital shields are at full charge. Fleet is in position. Admiral Vasquez leaned in. Anthe. The doors slammed open. A scientist in a lab coat rushed in, face pale. "Sir, we have a problem," he gasped. "What is it?" Graves snapped. The scientist held up a tablet displaying live data. "They've launched something ahead of their fleet. A single ship. It's heading straight for Earth. A Challenger approaches." The mysterious vessel entered the solar system at impossible speeds. It was unlike anything humanity had seen before. Sleek, dark, and pulsing with blue energy. It slowed down near the moon, broadcasting a signal, a message. "This is Commander Karel of the Galactic Dominion. I come as a representative of the Supreme Warlord. We demand Earth's immediate surrender." Admiral Vasquez clenched her jaw. "They really think they can just demand we bow." General Graves exhaled slowly. "Open a channel." A moment later, a hologram flickered to life. An alien stood before them. Karel was tall, his golden armor reflecting light, sharp features carved from arrogance. His slitted eyes studied the human leaders like they were insects. "I will make this simple," he said coldly. "The Dominion does not waste time on negotiations. You have two choices: surrender and become our subjects, or resist and be eradicated." The room was silent. Then, President Carter smiled. "You seem very confident," she said. "Tell me, Commander, how many planets have you conquered?" Karel smirked. "Too many to count." "And how many fought back?" she pressed. Karel's smirk faded. President Carter leaned forward. "You assume we are like those you've destroyed before, but you have no idea what humanity is capable of." Karel sneered. "Your species is primitive. Your weapons are outdated. Your fleet is laughable." President Carter tilted her head. "Then why are you here? Why not simply attack?" Karel opened his mouth to respond, but hesitated. She continued, her voice calm, controlled. "The truth is, you fear the unknown. You fear us. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here talking." Karel growled. "Enough." He straightened and delivered his final words. "The Dominion arrives at dawn. Earth will burn." The transmission cut. The war had begun. Humanity's secret weapon, the silent awakening. As Karel's ship turned back toward the fleet, deep beneath the surface of Mars, something stirred. In a hidden military base, a countdown reached 0. Vault doors, kilometers thick, rumbled open, revealing rows of black, triangular warships, ships that had never been seen before. They were not on any public record. They were not part of Earth's official fleet. And they were not human-crewed. Across the solar system, thousands of AI-controlled warships activated. No life signs, no fear, no hesitation. The Dominion thought they were marching toward an easy victory. They had no idea they were walking into a graveyard of their own making. The trap is set. The Galactic Dominion's fleet emerged from hyperspace, a vast armada of destruction. Thousands of warships stretched across space, blotting out the stars. Their flagship, the Titan's Wrath, led the invasion, its dark hull gleaming under the sun. It was a city-sized juggernaut, built to annihilate entire planets. On the bridge, Commander Karel stood with arms crossed, watching as Earth's defense systems activated. He sneered. They actually believe they stand a chance. His second-in-command, Officer Vectol, narrowed his reptilian eyes at the holographic display. "Strange," Vectol muttered. "No signs of planetary evacuation. No distress signals. No chaos." Karel frowned. "They are in denial. Let them hold on to their foolish hope." Vectol hesitated. "Or perhaps they know something we don't." Before Karel could respond, a transmission hacked into their system. The screen flickered, and a human appeared. Humanity's message, the last warning. President Carter sat behind a polished desk, calm and composed. "Commander Carell," she said, "you stand on the edge of history. This is your final chance to leave." Carell laughed. "You think we will turn back?" Carter's lips curled into a small smile. "No." Then her screen flickered out. The transmission ended. And then Earth's fleet appeared. The Ghost Fleet awakens. From the dark void behind Mars, they came. Sleek, black warships, invisible to Dominion sensors, emerged from hiding. They were smaller than the Dominion's massive dreadnoughts, but their numbers were staggering, and they weren't human-crewed. Thousands of AI-controlled warships activated in perfect synchronization. No pilots, no hesitation, no mercy. Carell's eyes widened. Impossible. How did we not detect them? Vectol's claws tightened. "Sir, we have walked into a trap. The battle begins. Humanity's first strike." The Dominion opened fire first. A wave of plasma bolts roared through space, aimed at the approaching human fleet. But then, something unnatural happened. The AI ships moved like ghosts. They twisted, dodged, and wove between enemy fire with inhuman precision. They didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like predators. And then, they struck back. From their underbellies, blue beams of energy erupted. Unlike traditional weapons, these beams didn't explode on impact. Instead, they passed through shields like they weren't even there. The first Dominion battleship imploded. The second followed. Within minutes, dozens of Dominion warships were reduced to lifeless husks. Carell staggered. What? What is this? No one had ever fought the Dominion like this before. Because no one had ever dared. The Titan's wrath prepares to fire. On the Dominion flagship, alarms blared. "The fleet is collapsing," Vectol shouted. Carell's hands shook with fury. "Enough. Charge the superweapon." At the center of Titan's wrath, a massive cannon glowed to life. It was a planet killer. If fired, it would wipe out Earth in an instant. But before it could charge, boom. The flagship shook violently as something hit it from within. Carell's eyes widened. What was that? An officer checked the sensors and turned pale. "Sir, something is inside the ship." Carell's blood ran cold. "Impossible," he whispered. "Nothing breached our shields." The lights flickered. The security feeds cut out. And then the screams began. The infiltrators strike. The Titan's wrath trembled as alarms blared across every deck. Commander Carell gripped the railing of the command bridge. "Report. What just hit us?" An officer stammered, eyes wide in terror. "Sir, it wasn't an external attack." Carell's reptilian pupils contracted. "Then what?" The officer gulped. "Something is inside the ship." Carell's blood ran cold. Impossible. But before anyone could respond, the lights flickered again. And then the screams began. The shadows within. Deck 12, Engineering Bay. Officer Vectol and his security team hurried down the corridors. The air was thick with the scent of burnt metal and something else. Something organic. Vectol activated his helmet scanner. The motion detector pinged. Something moved in the vents. His troops raised their plasma rifles. "Identify yourself." No response. Then, Tilanki. The vent cover exploded outward, and a figure dropped down. Vectol only caught a glimpse: black armor, glowing blue eyes, and a sleek, insect-like helmet. And then, it moved. Too fast. The figure slashed through two soldiers before they could react. Vectol barely dodged as a vibroblade hissed past his throat. He fired wildly, but the figure disappeared into the darkness. The security team screamed and fired in all directions, until, one by one, they fell silent. Vectol's breath came in sharp gasps. He tapped his communicator. "See, Commander," he stammered. "They're not soldiers." Carol's voice came through the static. Then what are they? Vectol swallowed hard. They're hunters. The assassins of Earth. Carol gritted his teeth. They boarded our ship undetected. His mind raced. No one had ever infiltrated a Dominion flagship before. And yet the proof was clear. Earth's forces were inside, tearing them apart from within. How many? Carl demanded. The sensors officer shook his head. That's the thing, sir. Our scanners can't detect them. Carel froze. Not detectable. How? Then it hit him. Stealth suits. These weren't ordinary humans. They were something else. Special forces, assassins, ghosts. And they had one mission. Kill Carl. The hunt begins. Bridge security scrambled. Troops took defensive positions at every entry point. The best warriors of the Dominion stood ready. Carel activated the intercom. All forces, fall back to the bridge. We will hold them here. Then, silence. The ship's comms went dark. And then, one by one, the lights flickered out. Darkness swallowed the bridge. Carol's claws tightened around his plasma pistol. A whisper echoed through the darkness. Your war ends tonight. Carel whirled around, but saw nothing. Then, movement. A shadow lunged. Bang. Carel fired blindly, but his shot hit nothing. Another whisper, right behind him. You never stood a chance. Then, pain. A blade sank into his shoulder. Carel roared in agony, stumbling forward. He turned, but no one was there. His blood dripped onto the cold steel floor. The Dominion commander, feared across the galaxy, was hunted like prey. The final stand. Carel staggered toward the control panel. His only hope now was the planet killer cannon. If he could fire it, Earth would be obliterated. Even if he died, the war would still be won. He slammed his bloodied hand onto the override panel. The cannon charge. Just 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7. A cold voice whispered into his ear. Too slow. Carel turned, but a blade pierced his chest. His eyes widened in shock. The last thing he saw was a human soldier standing over him, blue eyes glowing in the dark. Then, darkness. A new galactic order. The Titan's wrath never fired its cannon. Instead, it exploded from within. Every Dominion ship in the fleet watched in horror as their leader's flagship was reduced to a burning wreck. And then, a final transmission played across every enemy screen. A human voice, calm and unwavering. The war lasted 1 day. Earth still stands. The Dominion does not. And with that, the invasion was over. The Empire's reckoning. Deep within the Dominion homeworld, the Supreme Overlord watched the massacre unfold. The holoscreen showed the shattered remains of the Titan's wrath drifting through space. The once mighty Dominion fleet, crippled and leaderless, was retreating in chaos. For the first time in Dominion history, they had been defeated. The Overlord's claws dug into his throne. How? He whispered. How did a primitive species bring us to our knees? A warlord knelt before him, trembling. Overlord, the humans are not what we believed. They fight without mercy. They strike from the shadows. They crack. The Overlord's tail snapped forward, breaking the warlord's skull in an instant. The other generals flinched. I do not want excuses, the Overlord hissed. I want solutions. His golden eyes burned into the War Council. The Dominion does not retreat, he growled. We eradicate. Humanity's next move. Back on Earth's hidden command station, General Carter stood before a massive holomap. The Dominion was fractured. Their fleets were scattered. But they weren't finished yet. Carter's second-in-command, Captain Ruse, tapped the screen. Sir, we have 2 options. 1, crush them now. Strike the Dominion homeworld before they can regroup. End the war forever. 2, hold back. Let the Dominion tear itself apart from the inside. Watch them collapse. Carter's jaw tightened. He had spent his life fighting wars. But this wasn't just a battle. It was the future of humanity. Ruse lowered her voice. Sir, what if they retaliate? What if they come back stronger? Carter's eyes hardened. They won't. He turned to his crew. We take the fight to them. The final warning. Hours later, across the Galactic network, a message was broadcasted to every Dominion world. A human officer appeared on screen. His face was calm, his voice cold. To the Dominion overlord, you invaded our world. You sent fleets to crush us. You believed we were weak. You were wrong. The officer leaned forward. We have your codes, your fleet movements, your hidden bases. If you do not surrender, we will finish what you started. Then, the message ended with 5 final words. This is your only warning. The Overlord's wrath. The Supreme Overlord roared in fury. The War Council stood silent, waiting for his command. Finally, his breathing slowed. His tail curled tightly around his throne. The humans had made one mistake. They had left him alive. The Overlord grinned. Summon the Apex Fleet. The Apex Fleet arrives. The darkness of space was torn apart by thousands of hyperspace signatures. The Apex Fleet had arrived. These were not ordinary warships. These were the best of the best. Colossal dreadnoughts, each capable of destroying moons. Stealth cruisers, invisible even to human scanners. Swarms of fighter craft, faster and deadlier than anything ever seen before. At the heart of it all, the Dominion's flagship, the Revenant, emerged like a predator in the void. On its bridge, the Supreme Overlord stood, his golden eyes gleaming with cold fury. He turned to his commanders. This time, he growled, we erased them from existence. The order was given. The Apex Fleet set course for Earth. Earth's final stand. Inside a classified war room, General Carter stared at the incoming fleet. The Apex Fleet was bigger than anything they had prepared for. Captain Ruse exhaled sharply. Sir, we can't win this fight head-on. Carter's fingers tapped against the holotable. She was right. Even Earth's hidden defenses weren't enough. But humanity had never won through brute force. They had won through strategy. He turned to the assembled officers. Tell me, what's the one thing the Dominion fears the most? Silence filled the room. Then, Ruiz's eyes widened. A war they can't control. Carter grinned. Exactly. The trap. Instead of defending Earth, humanity vanished. Spaceports went silent. Orbital defenses deactivated. Even Earth's military signals ceased transmission. To the Dominion, it looked like Earth had surrendered. The Supreme Overlord sneered. The cowards have accepted their fate. The Apex Fleet descended upon Earth. But the moment they reached orbit, everything went wrong. The fall of the Apex Fleet. 1 Juve-MP Disruption. The Dominion relied on jump drives to retreat or reposition in battle. But Earth had disabled the local space-time field. Now, no ship could escape. The Overlord's eyes narrowed. They've trapped us. 2 Fel Sitar GTs. The Apex Fleet's targeting systems were the best in the galaxy. But they weren't prepared for Earth's decoy signals. Thousands of false energy signatures lit up across the system. It looked like millions of human warships were hiding in the darkness. Confusion spread through the Dominion fleet. 3 VE silent strike E. Before the Apex Fleet could react, the attack began. Human stealth ships, invisible to Dominion sensors, unleashed hell. EMP blasts disabled enemy weapons. Precision strikes took out command ships. Shock troops boarded the Dominion flagship. The Overlord roared in rage. Fight ye back. But it was too late. One by one, his mighty warships fell. The final confrontation. On the Revenant, alarms blared. The ship was under attack from within. The Overlord drew his warblade and stormed into the corridors. His elite guards followed. They were met with silence. Then, SHHHK, a hidden human operative, emerged from the shadows, slicing through Dominion soldiers in an instant. The Overlord snarled and swung his blade, but his enemy was already gone. More humans appeared, moving like ghosts. One by one, his warriors fell. The Overlord staggered back. Impossible, a voice echoed from the darkness. This war ends now. A final gunshot rang out. The Overlord fell. His reign was over. Victory. The Apex fleet was destroyed. The Dominion, once the most feared empire in the galaxy, was leaderless and broken. And Earth still stood. But the war wasn't truly over. Because now, humanity had the power to decide what happened next. Would they conquer the Dominion? Would they leave it in ruins? Or would they offer mercy, even to their greatest enemy? The choice that shaped the galaxy. The galaxy held its breath. Across thousands of star systems, Dominion forces waited for the inevitable. Would humanity strike them down? Would they enslave the Dominion as revenge? Or would they do something no species had ever done before? In the heart of Earth's command center, General Carter stood before the United Human Council. Every leader, scientist, and strategist listened in silence. The room was tense. Billions of lives depended on this moment. Carter exhaled, then spoke. We have three choices. Option 1. Total annihilation. If we choose to destroy the Dominion completely, Carter said, we end the threat forever. A hologram appeared, thousands of Dominion worlds, now defenseless. With one command, Earth's fleet could erase them all. This would be justice for every planet they enslaved. A commander said. There was a hunger for vengeance in the room. But Carter's voice was steady. If we do this, we become the very thing we fought against. Silence. Some leaders lowered their heads. Option 2. Absolute control. We could take over their empire, Carter continued. Another hologram appeared, a Dominion ruled by humanity. We would control their fleets, their resources, their people. A strategist nodded. We'd create a galactic order under human rule. No more wars. No more threats. A galaxy where humanity was supreme. But Carter's eyes were cold. The Dominion enslaved billions. She paused. Would we truly be different if we forced our rule upon them? More silence. A few leaders looked uncomfortable. Option 3. Something never done before. Carter changed the hologram. Now, it showed a different future, one where the Dominion wasn't ruled by fear, but by choice. Instead of destruction or domination, she said, we offer them something new. A chance to govern themselves. A chance to rebuild, without war. A chance to become allies instead of enemies. The room erupted in disbelief. They'll betray us the moment they can. One officer shouted. Carter's expression hardened. Then we make sure they don't. A final warning to the Dominion. Across the galaxy, Dominion leaders were summoned to a final meeting. On a neutral planet, Earth's greatest minds and the highest Dominion officials sat across from each other. Carter stood before them. You have two options, she said. Rebuild your worlds without war, or we finish what we started. The Dominion leaders looked at each other. They had no fleets, no overlord, no power. They had only one choice. We accept. For the first time in history, the Dominion surrendered, not in fear, but in agreement. The new galactic era. With the war over, humanity did the impossible. Instead of ruling, they taught. Instead of conquering, they guided. Instead of enslaving, they offered peace. For the first time in history, the galaxy wasn't ruled by fear, but by hope. And at the heart of it all, humanity stood unchallenged. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as the greatest force the universe had ever known. Epilogue. A message to the stars. Decades later, a signal was sent into deep space. It was a message carried beyond the galaxy. A warning, a promise, and a legend. It said, "To any who seek to destroy us, we are patient, we are kind, and we are just. But if you come to make war, you will not survive the day."